following is a class on the Srimad Bhagavatam, first canto, third chapter, text number 23, given by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, recorded on September 28, 1972, in Los Angeles.
In the 19th and 20th incarnations, the Lord advented himself as Lord Balarāma and Lord Kṛṣṇa in the family of Vṛṣṇi, or the Yadu dynasty, and by so doing, he removed the burden of the world.
Uno means less. Eka means one. And Vingsha means 20. So this is the way of Sanskrit literature. Ekona means less than one of 20. That means 90. Ekona means Vṛṣṇi means, and that's 20th. So Balarāma first appeared, and then Kṛṣṇa appeared. Ekono Vṛṣṇi means Vṛṣṇishu. In the family of Vṛṣṇi dynasty. Kṛṣṇa's another name is Vṛṣṇi, because he appeared in the Vṛṣṇi family. Just like sandalwood. Sandalwood is known as Malayan sandalwood. Malay, there is a country, East Asia. Malaysia, now it's called Malaysia. So formerly they were growing sandalwood, large quantity. Now they are growing rubber, no more sandalwood. They are not interested in sandalwood. They are now interested in rubber, because you have got motor cars, you require motor cars. So formerly the Malaysian sandalwood was very famous. So sandalwood can grow anywhere, but because in Malaysia sandalwood was very largely growing, therefore sandalwood is generally known as Malaya Jachan. The sandalwood of Malaysia. Similarly, Kṛṣṇa can appear from anywhere. Janma karma mein divyam. Kṛṣṇa's birth appearance was, they are not ordinary, divyam, transcendental. Jo janati tattva. If anyone understands tattva in truth, then the result is tapta diham punarjanmanaiti. Then such person, after giving up his body, he does not take any more a material body. Punarjanmanaiti, mameti, he comes to me. That is success of life. If you simply try to understand Kṛṣṇa, his transcendental appearance, disappearance, activities, if you try to understand, then your life is success. That is Kṛṣṇa consciousness movement. We are trying to make people understand what is Kṛṣṇa. Simply by understanding Kṛṣṇa, he will become liberated from this material bondage. Actually, every one of us trying to get out of some kind of bondage. We feel that I am bound up under certain circumstances, so I must get out. This is called Attantik Dukkha Nivritti. Dukkha nivritti means avoiding painful situations. So everyone is trying to avoid painful situations. That's the fact. We are struggling. I have got income, say $200. So that is not sufficient for me. So I am struggling hard to get $500 to avoid this painful situation. Again, when in $500 I feel another pain, so I try for $1,000. In this way go on increasing, and the painful situation will never be mitigated. That will continue. Otherwise, why millionaires are committing suicide? He has got money. But they do not know that any amount of material comfort will not make them happy. That is not possible. So we have repeatedly discussed this fact. The other countries, like India, is advertised very poor country. But still, majority of the people in India, they are happy. People do not know. Although materially they haven't got possession, they have got only 2 cloths or even 1 cloth. In the village you will find they are so poverty-stricken. But still they are following the Vedic principles, taking bath early in the morning, going to their business, whatever they get, eating, husband, wife, children, they are happy. People say primitive. But you want after all happiness, primitive or advanced, what is that? In advanced civilization, if you commit suicide, why not primitive? So they do not know. They do not know what is actual happiness. Therefore, the struggle is going on. They do not know. Nate vidu sarthagating hi Vishnu. These rascals, they do not know that real happiness is Vishnu, God, Lord Vishnu. When you approach Vishnu, just like we are, our happiness is here, Kṛṣṇa. For Kṛṣṇa, we are working day and night. The karmis are also working day and night, but they are not happy. We are happy. That they do not know. We are also doing the same thing. We are not lazy. We are not sleeping. Everybody is busy. Somebody is going to write, somebody is going to type, somebody is going to sell books, somebody is preparing prasadam, somebody is cleansing, somebody is going to Sankirtan. Not a single moment we are lazy. But because we are working for Kṛṣṇa, there is happiness. Nobody is paid here a single farthing. Rather, he brings money. But still he is happy. But the Kurmis, they are getting money, salary, still they are not happy. Why? This is practical. Here, we sometimes chastise, that you cannot live with us, go out. But he cannot. Unless there is happiness, why he is sticking to this Kṛṣṇa consciousness? Those who are going back, again coming. They could not find any happiness. Again, they say, here, the people say these are foolish people, working under some idea. But they are happy. Must be happy. But they do not know. Nate vidu sarthagating hi Vishnu. They do not know how happiness can be attained. Happiness can be attained when you come to God, because you are part and parcel of God. The same example. A little child is crying. Nobody could pacify it. As soon as the child is put on the breast of the mother, immediately. Because the child is a part and parcel of the mother. And immediately he understands that now I have come to save my mother. Immediately. This is practice. Similarly, we are all part and parcel of God, Vṛṣṇi. So unless we come to Kṛṣṇa or Vṛṣṇi, Kṛṣṇa is Vṛṣṇi, there is no happiness. It is not possible. It is not possible. But these rascals, they do not know. They are trying to become happy by so-called scientific advance. What is this science? Attantik dukkha nivritti. The aim of life is to come to the platform of happiness, where there is no distress at all, simply happiness. That is our aim. There cannot be any distress, only happiness. Anandamaya abhyasat. So you see so many pictures of Kṛṣṇa. Kṛṣṇa is playing with his cowherd boy, Kṛṣṇa dancing with his girlfriends, gopis, Kṛṣṇa is stealing butter, Kṛṣṇa is doing so many, simply happiness. Simply happiness. You won't find Kṛṣṇa is morose and sitting or crying. Even if he is killing some demon, very laughingly, it's an easy job. So either he is killing or dancing, he is happy. So we are giving this information of happiness, the topmost happiness, without any Anandamaya Vyasat. Within the Vedanta Sutra, it is said that spirit soul, the super soul, or the individual soul, their nature is to become happy. Anandamaya. Happy. Spiritual life means happiness. There is no distress. But that happiness can be attained in cooperation with the Supreme. We are sparks of fire. So, with the fire, if the sparks are fat, you see sometimes, the sparks, it looks very beautiful. The same spark, as soon as falls down from the fire, extinguishes. The fiery quality immediately extinguishes. So our material condition is like that. We have given up the company of Kṛṣṇa, and you wanted to be happy in this material world. Therefore you are suffering. The same spark, particle of carbon, if you put again to the fire, it will again become red, hot and fire. So this is Kṛṣṇa consciousness movement, that we are trying the sparks which by chance has fallen down from the fire to pick it up again and put it in the fire. That is real happiness. So here it is said, the Rama Kṛṣṇa iti. God appeared as Rama and Kṛṣṇa. There are some foolish persons who are misled by another imitation Ramakrishna. But those who are intelligent, this rascal Ramakrishna said that I am the same Ramakrishna. Another rascal believed, oh, he is Ramakrishna. Why I say rascal? Because here it is said, Ramakrishna viti bhuva bhagavan aharat bharam. There must be symptoms of Ramakrishna. Anyone will say, I am Ramakrishna, and he becomes Ramakrishna. How? What is the taste? The taste is Bhagavan aharat bharam. When Krishna and Rama appeared, Balarāma, he killed so many demons to make the world peaceful. The beginning of killing was their maternal uncle Kṛṣṇa. Not only that beginning, from the beginning of Krishna's birth, Putana, Nagasur, Maghasur, Keshi, and so many asuras. Every day Krishna and Balarāma used to go in the forest, and some asura would come to disturb them, to kill them, and Krishna will finish them. And the friends will come at home and narrate the story to their mothers. Mother, Krishna is so wonderful. Such a big demon came and he killed immediately in this and that. That is Krishna. Not that because one has got some so-called meditation, he becomes Krishna without any taste. But what is the proof that he is Ramakrishna? But they do not take the proof. They simply pose a bogus man as Ramakrishna. So this Ramakrishna is different from this bogus Ramakrishna. Ramakrishna, Bhagavan, they are actually the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And they proved it. Not that Ramakrishna is dying out of cancer disease. Yes. We are not after such kind of Ramakrishna. Besides that, when there is real Ramakrishna, why I shall go to the false or imitation Ramakrishna? They say the same Ramakrishna. That's all the same, but I don't find any proof that the same. So why shall I take to this imitation Ramakrishna? Why not take this real Ramakrishna? So, we should be intelligent enough. We should not be bluffed. Krishna jai bhaje sevaracho. Without being very intelligent, nobody surrenders to Krishna. Bahunam janvanam ante jnanavan mang prapaddate. Vasudeva sarvamiti sa mahatma sudurlava. So, anyone who has surrendered to Krishna, he is the most intelligent man. Jnanavan, Krishna says, unless one is fully wise, after many births, because everyone is trying to place a competitor of Krishna. Just like I have said, oh, why that Ramakrishna? Here is another with big beard Ramakrishna. So, but he is not wise. That kind of Ramakrishna is for the foolish man, and those who are presenting, he is also foolish. But Bauna in this way, foolishly accepting something as God, when one actually becomes wise after many, if he is actually searching after God. Chaturvida bhajante maam sukriti na arjuna arto artharthi jnani anisandeshu jnani cha bhartarsa jigyasu jnani cha bhartarsa jigyasu. So 4 classes of men comes to God. If they are pious, if the background is piety, then out of that class of men, inquisitive, jigyasu, jnani, jnani means those who are wise, and artha, distressed, artharthi, those who are in need of money. Generally, people ordinarily, if he is pious, then when he is in distress, he prays to God. My dear Lord, I am in distress, kindly save me. Or if somebody is in want of money, he also approaches God. My dear Lord, for want of money I am suffering. Kindly give me some money. These are two classes, and the other two classes, Kyani, simply for knowledge. What is the actual constitutional position of God? This is called Gyani. And inquisitive, and inquirer. What is God? So these four classes of men try to understand God or approaches God. So out of these two classes, those who are in distress or those who are in want of money, as soon as they get money, they forget God. Or as soon as their distress is over, they forget God. But these two classes, inquisitive and wise, they continue to search out what is God. So out of these two classes, when one understands what is God, he is perfect. Bahunam, that becomes possible after many, many births. Bahunam janmanam anti jnanaman. What kind of knowledge? Vasudeva sarvamiti. Kṛṣṇa is everything. Vasudeva. Kṛṣṇa's another name is Vasudeva. Samahatma sudullava. That type of great soul is very rare. So, in other words, those who have taken Kṛṣṇa as everything, they are the greatest soul, the topmost soul within the world. They cannot be misled by imitation Ramakrishna. They are interested with real Ramakrishna, Vasudeva, Vasudeva Kṛṣṇa, Vasudeva Kṛṣṇa, the son of Vasudeva. So, Kṛṣṇa appeared in the Vṛṣṇi family. Our business is to understand Kṛṣṇa. Kṛṣṇa, we cannot understand Kṛṣṇa fully. He is unlimited. But still, by following the footsteps of great Maharaja, great devotees, personalities, we can understand to some extent Kṛṣṇa, what is Kṛṣṇa. So we may not understand fully. If we simply take it for granted, even without understanding Kṛṣṇa. The Kṛṣṇa is the supreme, and our business is to love Him. Real, our aim is how to love Kṛṣṇa. Just like the gopis, they did not know that Kṛṣṇa is God. Or the cowherd's boy, they did not know. Even Mother Jasoda did not know that Kṛṣṇa was the supreme personality of God. But their love for Kṛṣṇa was spontaneous. They did not know anything beyond Kṛṣṇa. If we come to that stage, that is perfect. Not that we want to know what is God. What do you know? What knowledge we have got, we can understand what is God. But we can see by God's activities, when Kṛṣṇa appeared, his all activities were uncommon activities. So far, as a human being, he was not human being, but he was playing as human being. The human being marries, so his marrying is also wonderful. He married 16,108 wives. This is uncommon. This is uncommon. Nobody can marry like that. Not only marrying, Musliman Nawabs, they used to marry also many wives. Not many wives, one Nawab was there. He married 160 wives. They have got in Lucknow, when you go to India, you see, that is now fallen, that all the wives of the Nawab was living, let's say, now it has been turned into a big park. There are small houses. So, he could not reach all the wives every day or every night. That is not possible. Humanly it is impossible. 160, that means if he goes, visits it will take at least 6 months. So after 6 months, one queen or Navajada might have seen her husband. But Krishna was not that time. Krishna expanded himself also in 16,000 forms, and each and every one of his wife was accompanied by Krishna personally. So, this incarnation, all described in the Srimad Bhagavatam, these symptoms, the father's, mother's name, the place, the activities, everything is being described. So we cannot be cheated by a false incarnation of God. That is not possible. So the cheated, those who want to be cheated, they are cheated. But we don't want to be cheated. We want real God. Therefore, nobody can cheat us. Thank you very much.
Форм, и каждая из его жен была в сопровождении, личном сопровождении Кришны. Итак, это воплощение описано в Шримад Бхагаватам, и признаки, имя матери, отца, место, деяние, все описано. Поэтому мы не должны обманываться этими притворщиками, инкарнациями Бога. Это невозможно. Обманываются те, кто хотят быть обманутыми. Но мы не хотим быть обманутыми. Мы хотим истинного Бога. Поэтому
So, let's start discussion. I can read the commentary. It is not long. One line less than 10 lines. In 19th and 20th incarnations, Lord appeared in family Vṛṣṇi on Yadu dynasty like Kṛṣṇa and Balarāma, Lord Kṛṣṇa and Lord Balarāma, and help the world devoid the burden. So that is the mission of the Lord, to release from the burden. That's how he acts. In this verse, word Bhagavan is signing that Lord Krishna and Balarāma are original forms of the Lord. Next it will be discussed more vividly. From the beginning of the chapter, we know that Krishna is not a Purusha incarnation, but a original personality of Godhead, and Balarāma is first expansion. Baladeva gives a line of full expansions: Vasudeva, Pradyumna, Aniruddha, and Sankarsana. Baladeva is Sankarsana and Krishna is Vasudeva. That's the commentary. In general, in short and brief, some moments were described before, and description later will reveal the essence until the end. So Bhagavatam has its own consequence. So Prabhupada gives the commentary of 9 lines, literally, but in the class Prabhupada speaks on Krishna very nicely. He is based on our reality. For preachers it is very important. that if we speak on Krishna and do not understand,
Почему Кришна это хорошо? Почему это хорошо? Однажды, когда я был в Совете по делам религии, меня пригласили.
once I had an experience of preaching in Almaty. I was invited. His attitude was very nice to us, and he asked me a question from the very beginning. If somebody is saying that Krishna consciousness is bad, what would you reply? So people are based on what they see, on some reality. That if we see that Krishna consciousness people look like sectarians, they go out of families, they are talked in rumors of people. So some can see this kind of signs, but Prabhupada explains in forward that people cannot understand him from the point of practice, and he says that material civilization is the source of sufferings, and he is practical. He is giving the facts, how it appears, that it is impossible any happiness. You cannot get happiness in material world. In India, people are poor but happy. Why? The reason is in matter, not in the poverty or in the rich state, but in Krishna. Krishna is the source of happiness. That is Krishna, the source of happiness. Ananda Chinmayam Yasad, bliss is coming from him and spreads. We need this knowledge. He is very practical. He gives an example that in our movement, people do not get the salary, some donations only, but they're happy. They're chanting, dancing, spreading this happiness, and have the lifestyle of Ananda. They do not spread greed, aggression, irritation, sorrow. They spread dances, chanting, prasadam, happiness, and everywhere they do, people feel happiness. That was the beginning of the class. Then he says some words on Krishna, personality of Godhead. Here in commentary, very short, briefly, but in general, material civilization is hopeless. We can see that words of Prabhupada are revealed more and more. Maybe some expectation of happiness is there. Maybe we'll wait some more and things go better. But something good must happen. It's our belief. But Vedic scriptures say we should not think this way. It's illusion. Happiness is not there in this material world. Do not search in it. You know this story on mouse. Nice mouse was there. Harmless, it would steal some grain, but it was not a sin. It was just innocent being. So its life was nice, but it was a problem with the cat. It was dangerous, life dangerous for a mouse. It was very frightened. If I would be a cat, I would have no problems. And somehow she got some good luck, very rare luck. She was running for some stuff and she met some yogi, mystic. This mystic could give her blessing. So this mouse was praying, please help me get rid of my sufferings. And the yogi would ask, what do you want? I want to become a cat. Are you sure you want to be happy when you are a cat? I will have no problem. Okay. If you want that way, you become a cat. So, when mouse becomes a cat, she would start catching mice. Forgot this state of mouse. And things became better, but there is a dog. She did not notice the dog when she was a mouse. I will come back to this sage. I will explain. I did not understand. Now I know I want to become a dog. Mystic would ask, will you become happy when you become a dog? I'm sure, 100%. You become a dog. Okay. So no problem, you can rush for cats, she forget for a mouse, but once she comes to the forest, being a dog, and there is a tiger inside, that is my happiness, that is my success, that's whom I want to become. I needed to ask, Dandavat praying, oh dear sage, asking, praying for his feet, that's my last request. Make me a tiger. All my desires will be fulfilled. Are you sure? Are you sure again? You will become happy when you're a tiger. Yes, no doubt. Okay, become a tiger. So, you imagine, mouse, a cat, a dog, now she's got the perfection of life. Many people want to become. So angry people others would be afraid of them. So now this mouse is a tiger. Right now. And mind and senses different. She looks on the sage and see, this is not a sage, it is a food, nice food. I didn't notice. It is a nice, delicious food. Sage, I want to eat you. Sage was very surprised. You was a mouse and cat. I would fulfill your desires. I made you a tiger. You want to eat me? I am a tiger. It's my nature. What can I do? I am innocent. That's my nature. Sage said, I understand. You become a mouse. That is the games of materialists with the nature. The nature is powerful. It can control and regulate. Not only fulfill the desires, but regulate. And here it is said that Kṛṣṇa, when he came, helped to release the burden of the source of sufferings. Who are the sources of sufferings? Demons. People with demonical intelligence. That's his ability. And Prabhupada says a lot on Ramakrishna that people not to become confused. Such people cannot release the burden of the world. They call themselves Ramakrishna and incarnation, but they are not. We can see that religion in the world is so weak that it cannot help to release the influence of demonic people. More than that, demonical mood come into the religion. That means that soon the time for avatar is coming. Dear devotees, we must recognize him first. We need to know the Srimad Bhagavatam message for sure. If great personality comes, we can see maybe. We must recognize. Not Prabhupada only. Prabhupada is founder Acharya. On this basement, many great personalities will come, and we must recognize them. It's our duty. We must get rid of our envy to that moment when he comes. Maybe he is already there. When Lord Chaitanya came, he did not reveal himself immediately. Our movement develops like that. On the form and example of Lord Chaitanya, he came as a son of Shachimata and Jagannath Mishra. He would ask people to chant Hare Krishna, but when he became older, his interest was in Nyaya. So that is the stages of devotees when they join. Nyaya, logic, is their first interest when they start chanting. They would argue with materialists. It is Nyaya, some arguments, and Lord Chaitanya was the best in that. But when he was initiated in chanting the holy names and felt the ecstasy, he became humble. It is the next stage, when the science and is proud, Nyaya is proud. Next stage is humility. Lord Chaitanya gave this way, and we follow his footsteps. It takes a lot of time, in our case, before we change the taste to arguments, logic. Through the humility and patience, we have a taste to chanting. But the first, Advaita Acharya would give the classes on Srimad Bhagavatam, but nobody would come. Today, devotees just come to Srimad Bhagavatam class somehow. If you see Tashkent, Almaty, Bishkek, million people, but some 150 devotees come to Bhagavatam. 100, 200 devotees are there, even less. That is not so much. And Advaita Acharya saw that Kṛṣṇa is an interest for not so many people. Kṛṣṇa, Balarāma, personality of Godhead. Therefore, he would ask Lord Chaitanya, you come, please, reveal your games, pastimes. He would ask people to chant Hare Krishna and play with Nyaya persons like a cat with the mice. And after that, he became a greatest scholar. Nobody could win him. He showed his humility. He would refuse totally. He was so great, and then he refused. The most great and scientist in Navadvip. Such a great pride. Capital of education was of that time. Mayapur is still like that. It is very beneficial to take studies in Mayapur now. But he refused in Gaya. In such a humility, people were shocked. What happened to Nimai? What was there? He is absolutely different. Where is his pride he had before? Somebody was something. What happened to him? Maybe he's sick, some pranas mixed. He's just chanting Hare Krishna in Srivastava house, and they did not notice the night would pass. They were sleepless. When they meet Lord Chaitanya chanting the holy names, they forgot all the sorrows of this material world immediately. And then he said, you go outside and give this happiness. That was another shocking news. Nityananda would support. It is Kṛṣṇa and Balarāma. They came in hidden form. They would chant in the streets, and miracles would happen. All the Navadvip, all the people would feel this bliss of and ecstasy of chanting. And when Kazi saw that too many Hindu people would join, it is like a fire spreading. It was a tiny sect before, not spreading, but look what happens now. They are not afraid, they would chant aloud. So he broke Meridanga, and Kazi saw that Lord Chaitanya would take all the people in the streets, and it is impossible. It is impossible to break. No nationalism, no impersonalism. If everybody would chant, it is not possible. Spreading the holy names. somebody is spreading philosophy and logic, and somebody is spreading
одно другому помогает.
philosophy and chanting, and it helps one to another. Sankhya philosophy and Harinama Sankirtana, for sure.
ISKCON делает свой другой.
ISKCON does this both,
Конечно, довод должен вкус.
but the best and the first should be taste for chanting. If we speak on Krishna, it is the higher test, and logic would find Krishna. Philosophy, the root of the tree is found with the help of Sankhya, but we water it with the chanting. So philosophy helps us to find the root of the universe. But what is the practice? It is the great happiness of chanting. It releases our burden of our impressions and sufferings in the mind, impressions of life, heavy impressions. Simply chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So we do it under the guidance of spiritual master, and everything goes nicely. Krishna reveals himself through the sound of the holy name. I do not know what topics we would discuss. Maybe Giridhari Prabhu devotees would invite us some topics. Hare Krishna, my obeisances. You discuss the topic so nicely. And describe that commentary is very short, but Srila Prabhupada explained nicely that Krishna consciousness is happiness, and when somebody is not situated in Krishna consciousness, he is actually suffering. Some millionaires have a big sum of money, but they are not happy in this material world. I remember Srila Prabhupada would say one millionaire had some crisis, he lost some sum of the money. He could not tolerate that and committed suicide. He had so much money, but he could not tolerate. Overcome this crisis. We can imagine no hope in this world, no happiness in this world, so much that even such a wealthy person. So the topic of happiness, we should not go for politics here, because we can see it strongly affects controversially between people and authorities. And here he was talking that Lord Chaitanya brought all the people to the Harinam. That Kazi would say that Harinam is prohibited. People was not afraid. And what happened after Lord Chaitanya himself came chanting and to Kazi and poured his mercy on Kazi. And now in Russia there is a controversy. You heard that Navalny was put into jail, and he sends people on the streets that authorities prohibit this propaganda. And he influences the youth. So I am not sure we should not go for politics. Our topic is Krishna consciousness, but somehow could we reveal, should we go into politics somehow, and how we should have this balance So we chant Hare Krishna, and all at the same moment we see what is going on in the world, and how can we, in spite of that, spread Krishna consciousness, Harinam, chanting the holy names, because we are sure that only Hare Krishna Mahamantra can give happiness and understanding. The consciousness can change simply chanting. That's my mind in brief. Thank you, Giridhari. Caravaggio Prabhu, if you summarize this topic of Giridhari Prabhu, I think that faith is essential in development of civilization, original foundation of our activities and life, and I think that until there is a strong faith of people into the money, this politics never ends. These wars, quarrels, barricades, riots, they never end. I want to go to the foundation, the faith in the money. It directs people in this wrong way, and we need to give this higher faith through the Shastra, Acharyas, previously, that people need the faith in something more than money. Until the faith is in the money from authorities and scientists go for prosperity, from the point of material prosperity, we do not see other faith. Spiritual people are so few, and their faith is invisible, insignificant, seems. But in society, faith is in money makes people crazy, and this anxiety in Russia, in any other place, in America, the reason is money and profit, gain, faith in money. We could discuss how could we preach that this faith would elevate. Карабаджан, Прабhu. Giridhari Prabhu, thank you. If you allow, I would cite several moments from the class of Srila Prabhupada. And you spoke on these moments and go into the depth, reveal for us. First moment is suffering of living entities. They cannot find here. And I thought that our philosophy of Krishna consciousness is started from lamentation of Vyasadeva. He created Vedas, compiled them, and several instructions for all categories of living entities, for them to get rid of this birth and death and gain happiness. And after having compiled, he would follow all these instructions, but he did not have a complete happiness, as we say today. And he started lamenting. He could not understand to the bottom. So Srimad Bhagavatam says that it is literally incarnation of the Lord, and then Vyasadeva comes, Narada Muni comes, and he signs the reason. Srila Prabhupada says that even millionaires perform suicide seeming they would have anything they could desire. Some satisfaction for mind and senses, but happiness is not there. Until the living entity understands his relations to Kṛṣṇa, until he finds Kṛṣṇa. Therefore, Narada Muni says that you did not describe activities of Supreme Lord. Supreme Bhagavan. And later in 5 verses it is stated that Kṛṣṇa is the original reason of all expansions. That this superficial happiness, so-called happiness, is impossible without Kṛṣṇa. And next topic, Srila Prabhupada speaks on so-called avatars, incarnations of the Lord, or false expansions. How is it possible for a simple person to become and pretending he is Supreme Lord without abilities? And I remember that in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna reveals his universal form to Arjuna, and Srila Prabhupada says that they must prove, and Krishna would prove. Krishna reveals his universal form in Bhagavad Gita 11 canto. So in future, Krishna knew that if somebody would state he needed to prove, it would, even in Krishna's times, somebody would say, Paundraka made 2 additional hands and would challenge Krishna. So this philosophy of Mayavada, or desire to take position of the Lord, is so as old as this creation is. So Krishna reveals his universal form to Arjuna to give the foundation and proof. And Prabhupada says that Arjuna wants to see the universal form, to have this absolute criteria in this argument for the future, that people would say they are Krishna. Nobody should accept for the belief that if somebody is saying he is Krishna, but he must prove his proclamations. And coming back to this question of Giridhari Prabhu, I recall that today we see some events in the world. It is not peaceful, not satisfied. The events go heater and fire goes. Stars are not beneficial also. Some threats are there. Threats. The link is weak.
умение вот, развивать. Вот, гуру должен вести так ученика, чтобы он мог пройти через все эти трудности, возвыситься. Но это одна сторона. Другая сторона, ученик, он может выбрать себе какой-то уровень развития, достичь его и дальше отказаться пока, на какое-то время отказаться дальше двигаться, может остановиться на каком-то уровне. Вот. Не оставить преданное служение, просто остановиться на каком-то уровне, который ему нравится,
which satisfies him and his subtle ahankar. And Guru is waiting in this case. He is waiting because this is the question of time. Any level that we reach on the material platform is the source of sufferings. And when a disciple realizes these more subtle forms of sufferings, he understands that he is going forward. He is going further and reaching the bliss. And Guru is calling him. And disciple says, I'm feeling comfortable here on this level. I'm happy, I've become a Brahman. I'm in Sattva Guna, I'm studying Shastra, I have many also followers, I'm respected, I'm well situated, Guru Maharaj, I don't need any further instructions. But Guru is waiting then, because on this level also, he would get his suffering, and he would remember, oh Guru Maharaj, you were telling me that I'm not this body. Some people think I'm a servant of Kṛṣṇa, I'm just got attached and I want to go further. This is the instruction of Guru. Then much patience needed and penetration and experience and ecstasy, spiritual happiness inside. Guru needs this qualification to lead the disciple. It's in brief one of the aspects of this topic, so please devotees, you may add. Victor, please. Hare Krishna, please accept my obeisances. I would make an announcement for the devotees who are watching us. Please follow the link and ask the questions. We will try to spare some time for questions. So my question is, you said about belief in money. Do you know Russian language is one word may have many meanings. For example, the word love. We need to explain what do we mean under love. Because we may love food, my cat, and so on. And the word faith is the same story. What you said about faith in money, when a usual person he hears the word money, he imagines something else. And person thinks that money is something real and Hare Krishna is something from fantasies. And I have a practical question: how to overcome this thing, how to show a person that these are things of one level. How to do it in a certain preaching. Maybe you have some positive examples and recommendations. Thank you. Yes, a good question. Thank you. I think you will be able to do it. Telling people about it. You read a little, you think a little, and have association, and you would be preaching successfully. So we would talk about it a little bit. Belief is a function of living force, so it's quite difficult to see it. For example, it's very difficult to realize for the fish that it is living in the water, because it doesn't have another basis. So when you're telling to the fish that you are in water, you are living in water, she says that, what do you mean underwater? What is it? What is it water? So it contacts water so closely that it cannot think about it. It doesn't notice it. So we are living because of the sunlight, but hardly any people think about it. That the sunlight is the basis of our life. They're just using sunlight and never thinking about it, never realizing it. That's why this is the living force. It's very close energy to us, this living force. It's very difficult to realize it. The same way as breathing. Without breath we cannot live. But as long as we're breathing, we don't notice it, and we don't notice our dependence on it. But when a fish is on the ground, it sharply realized this contrast. When the Lord Chaitanya was giving this Krishna consciousness, it was like a thunderbolt. This ecstasy was so powerful, people just were fainting. So the same thing happens when the fish is in the ocean of bliss. And on the earth, when people suddenly saw this ocean, they suddenly realized who they are, that we are from another environment. So we need this bliss as the part of preaching. Not just logical arguments, but devotee must give some bliss to a person so that he could feel what is it, the spiritual faith. This is the beginning of happiness. When a person believes in money, it gets agitated when he thinks about big money. This is his happiness. The same thing as the lust. And adrenaline is also not a real happiness. People like these things and they mix it with happiness because they get some emotions from it. And they get agitated, and the people think that this is happiness. Just the same way as in a sauna, person likes it and thinks that this is the happiness. This is the functional bodily things. Real happiness, he never knew it unless he meets a pure devotee. So one moment of association with pure devotee is enough to begin a spiritual life. So we are preparing logic and arguments, and our inside energy, which we take from the association of devotees. Happiness and satisfaction, these moments of bliss, which heighten our mind over the material values. So please, you may continue. It's a good topic when we're talking about faith or money, and it's understood, everyone knows what money is in different volumes. This is understandable for everyone. As Victor Prabhu was asking, but faith is not really understandable thing. Chaitanya Chandra Prabhu gave one very beautiful definition of faith. Faith is also discipleship, and we may add some other things. It will be like some fundamental understanding. What's the difference, faith from money? We don't really understand what faith is. We understand something on the intuitive level. So now, if we take another pair, to be or not to be, this is the same potential. I remember in my childhood, we were dreaming to be somebody, to be an astronaut, and nobody was thinking about money. At first we just wanted to be somebody, some hero, and later we were thinking about money. And it didn't matter for us. So at first now we think about money, and then we think whom I want to be. Now it's not. Now it's like this. Now it's like that. If we are looking at the basis is knowledge. Not just some higher knowledge, but usually we get very high knowledge like Bhakti, Bhakti Shastri, Bhakti Vaibhava. And there may be some